Okay, so today is May 27th, 2025, and the Springtrap P2B just came out. Well, not just came out, it was about 12 hours ago since I've started recording this, but I digress. And I'm going to come out and immediately say I have no actual complaints about the P2B. Everything in the P2B itself is fine. Some things are a bit niche here and here that probably needs a few changes, a couple tweaks, but for the most part, the update itself is perfectly an acceptable update that I have no problems with. It's okay, it's good, it's fine to head to live servers tomorrow. That being said, there are some things I want to cover, and the first thing, besides just saying what few tweaks and whatnot, is I want to cover the content creation program update. This is something that I and many others as content creators have been looking forward to for the past year, because it was announced back in May 13th of 2024 that this would be receiving new guidelines. Those guidelines now are, you need to have 2 requirements. There are 3 listed, but you only need to hit 2. One of them is mandatory and the other one is a flip-flop. So the one that you have to get is have 10,000 followers on at least one of the applicable platforms: Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter. Then you have to either stream at least 20 hours per month, which is perfectly reasonable. And for video creators, you have to create 2 long-form 8+ minute videos or 8 short-form at least 3-minute long Dead by Daylight videos per month. So let's get into why these stats don't make sense. Now, this is, of course, my own interpretation of these rules, and I will say that BHVR has said that if you don't meet any of these criteria, you can submit an application anyway. Just list that you don't hit any of these criteria. Yeah, you'll be fine if you get in. But this is why those things don't make sense. For starters, the 10,000 follower rule doesn't make any sense based on the 5 different social media platforms. 10,000 Twitch followers is not the same weight as 10,000 YouTube subs. I would know this perfectly. I've been streaming on Twitch for about 4 years now. I have, reading the exact number right on Twitch, 3,204 followers over the course of 4 years. I average about 20 people when I do Dead by Daylight, and about half that when I stream literally anything else. For context, I don't really remember when I truly started doing YouTube content. It's been ages now. My oldest video is 2 years ago, but I didn't really start taking it seriously until, like, I want to say a year ago. You can even look back and see all the stuff that doesn't have thumbnails. But it's been a long, long road of YouTube stuff. On YouTube, I have about 1,175 subs, and a lot of those come from my YouTube shorts, which, like them or hate them, I put some effort into a few of them. Some are more lazy clip uploads, but I digress. I have about 1,000 on there and about 3,000 on Twitch. Each time I have a YouTube short pop up, it usually gets me about 1 to 3 subs every single time. Some Twitch streams that I do for 6 hours, I don't gain any followers at all. Some days I gain 10, but same can be said for YouTube. Some days I gain 50. There was one day where I gained 78. That felt good, I'm not gonna lie. It's not the same weight in terms of the same goal, and I don't even want to touch on TikTok and Twitter. Twitter and TikTok are short-form content, so it's harder to get, like, those followers initially, at least for Twitter. But on TikTok and Instagram and things like YouTube Shorts, as my own example where most of my YouTube subs come from, if you mostly do short-form content, people are more likely to sub and forget. That's how TikTok works. Follow, forget. Slowly build up a following feed, but let's be honest, we all just go onto the For You page. None of us use our following feed. So it doesn't make sense that every single website has the same amount of weight for each thing. And the stream 20 hours per month for Twitch, that's fine. 20 hours it's a part-time job, and you're signing on with a company for a bunch of cool benefits that I'll list at the end of this discussion for what I would do to fix this program, but like it's fine. The thing is with the video creator, specifically video formats, is that sometimes videos take longer to make. They want at least 2 long-form videos of 8 minutes plus. Well, what if you make 1 long-form video that's 40 minutes each month? That's basic. That is over double, or nearing double, the length that they want over 2 different videos but put into 1 video. That is normally what Pixelbush does. Pixelbush normally has about a 20-minute video, and he posts about once a month or once a month, sometimes one every half a month, so-and-so, sometimes every 2 weeks. His schedule's a bit weird, but that's okay. But like, his videos are about like 20 minutes, and it's a lot of interesting Dead by Daylight lore details and things like that. Would he be eligible to get in based off that? Because content is based on different merits. You have people like Scott Junn who do a lot of videos like this that I like doing where it's more discussion based, and you have some more high effort videos like Pixelbush with his lore videos, or his in-depth Skull Merchant guide, or something like Ottsdarva's tier list. And then you have the basic gameplay videos, which is most likely what they're referencing for the long form of 8 minutes plus that are super easy to get done and upload. Standard gameplay videos, I'm not gonna lie, they're really easy to produce. That's why I stopped doing them, because I didn't feel like I was being creative. Then you have the 8 short form. 3 minutes long is a long form video. I'm sorry, no one is watching a 3-minute long short feed. The only person I know who posts like that is Mish, and Mish is a very talented creator, just puts subtitles over a chase and is very, very educational. People seek out her content because she's the only educational short form content creator that has a following that I know of. That isn't the norm. Most people post like a 15-30 second clip. I do like weekly Dead by Daylight news recaps. The one this week's gonna be super long because the anniversary stream, so it might be like closer to like 2 minutes, but usually I say, here's the past week of DVD news in about 60 seconds. It's a nice little hit line, gets people into the video, and sometimes it's not even 60 seconds long. Sometimes it's only 30 because there's not much news that week. So it just confuses me that like we're having the same merit for everything. If it was more time-based, like, hey, we would like if you uploaded at least like, according to this, 16 minutes of long form and I don't know, 8 times 3, fine, like 24 minutes of short form. So either way, it's like 20 minutes or so. Just say you want 20 minutes of YouTube content. That's fine. Maybe say 20 minutes of high effort YouTube content. What that is up to behavior, but I would say something that has like, you know, a few perks coming on the screen, a couple sound effects of music in the background, things like that, that counts. Just uploading footage, I'd say you probably need to do a bunch more of that, but I digress. Here's what really upset a lot of people, is that there's a bunch of people who don't meet the 10,000 follower requirement that are already shirted. For instance, off the top of my head, a lot of people might know who this is, Zmpixie. Zmpixie is the Knight's wife. I'm not even memeing about that, that's a canonic thing. And she's brought a lot of people into enjoying who the Knight is. She's gotten a lot of people playing her. She averages probably 120 people per stream at minimum, probably closer to 160 if I'm being honest nowadays. Super talented content creator. She has 9.1k followers on Twitch. Can't get in. Does that make any sense to you? No, she literally does 10 times minimum my viewership every single stream. That's crazy, right? Like, obviously, she should be in the program for someone who's talented, putting in a lot of effort, showing her love for Knight, showing her love for the game every single stream, and she can't even submit an application. At least until there was, you know, I'll think of the term later after this video is done. I'm gonna be so upset. But people got upset behavior after these dropped because we've been waiting a year for these things that most people aren't eligible for. 10,000 followers. Most people just want recognition for their stream of being a Dead by Daylight content creator. They just want the t-shirt, they just want the cosmetic, not all of this other shit. And that's why I feel like 10,000 followers for what is here and what is in the program is fine. What's not fine is that they led people on for a year, assuming that they would release the shirts with basic guidelines, you know, get some shining examples of community, so it's not someone just shouting slurs or view botting or something like that to get shirted. And instead, they made it the top 0.05% of Dead by Daylight content creators or people who just randomly jump in. And how do you fix that? Well, to put it simply, you just make a tier list, or tiers. If you ever go on a cruise, you have the very basic undersea cabins that don't have any windows, and all they are is it's a 1-bedroom, super tiny, just meant to be on the cruise. And then you have the expensive ones that are big old suites with built-in spas, and like back massagers and hot tubs and all that stuff, and they cost like a lot of money compared. It's like $100 compared to 20 grand per like room, right? Per ticket. And that's what this program should be, because the basic cosmetic t-shirt should just be someone who wants to be a content creator for Dead by Daylight and has put a little bit of effort in. That's all it should be. If you stream DBD, I would say honestly make the t-shirt requirement just the 20-hour streaming thing. Maybe have 500 followers. That's something that you could put on any website. Or whatever. I mean, Twitch, you might want to lower it to like 250, half it. YouTube, make it 500, just like 500 or somewhere in that range for it to work. Video creators make it like they upload like 10 times, like maybe like 10 minutes of Dead by Daylight gameplay, something basic. It shouldn't be hard to get shirted a basic cosmetic for people to wear in this game. I just want the charm of my hook. I don't want all this other shit. And I'm sure a lot of people are questioning, what is that other shit, right? Well, the other shit for the current program and why like 10,000 followers does make sense. It actually does make sense for all this other stuff that, I'll be honest, a lot of us don't actually want. You get free content, you get a code for the next DLC, you don't have to buy it, you get exclusive in-game items, which are the Twitch shirts right now, but like, that's what everyone actually wants. They don't, like, people will buy the DLC anyway. I'll buy the DLC anyway. I don't mind spending money on this game. I love this game. And then you also get early access to PTBs with other content creators to make videos, which, like, I don't know, that kind of just boosts big creators so that they can get a better edited video than the ones who can't do that, and I'm not a big fan of that. But I also understand that behavior wants trusted creators to, you know, be able to show off content, so I also get it at the same time. But they'll also be able to do, like, giveaways for the content creators, drops for their channels, special rewards to give to the community, like codes for DLC. They'll fly you out to PAX East, or at least pay for your ticket. You might have to get your own hotel. Do official collaborations with their official social media. Meet the dev team like King did in his interview, which is, as I said, that the King is literally what all the opportunities he gets with interviews of Mikote, flying out to their studio, things like that, is probably what they want you to be able to do. And you get to share your feedback directly with the devs themselves. Like, if my Devotion Change was one of my best performing videos and something that I will forever campaign for, would probably get pitched. Like, I would probably tell them about it and be like, hey, I really, really want this. And they'd be like, okay, we hear you, we'll do that. And like, if I had 10,000 followers on Twitch and I was partnered and had like 200 viewers, I'd be like, yeah, I feel like people would be like, yeah, that makes sense for her to go up and do that. That's a shining example of our community. We watch her all the time. They have connections. They've been doing this for so long. That makes sense. Like if Otts got to pitch his ideas to the devs, no one's gonna complain about that unless you just don't like Otts. But like, at the end of the day, I feel like even people who don't like Otts can appreciate things like his tier list, like the 12-hour add-on guide to every single add-on. Like, that's an insane amount of effort. But for a lot of smaller creators like myself, we just want the basic t-shirt cosmetic or the charm to put on our hook, just something to acknowledge that like we're here too in the same space with the big guys. The big guys can have these opportunities, but we're not the big guys. We just want the small stuff. And I'm realizing as I'm talking about this that I'm going to be splitting this into 2 separate videos because I have been talking for 15 minutes. Yeah, I've seen a lot of complaints on Twitter. There's a lot of differing opinions. For instance, like the Dead by Daylight scene has a very big clique thing, like high school, where it's like if you're not in this social group, you don't get invited into events, and then you don't get the same discovery that other channels get. Like, if you're not friends, and I don't want to list these people, I'm just using their names as examples because they're well known. I want to make that very, very clear. Like, if you're friends with Aaron, you might get invited to a tournament that Aaron is hosting, compared to like Timmy number 58, who streams to 8 people, and then like the person who already has a 200 average gets shown off to people with like 2K averages, and then their viewership merges, and people get to meet other audiences, and it's kind of just like a self-building thing, and it's hard to break through that initial barrier of entering those areas of those cliques. Like, even if you have a one-off successful video, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. What typically happens is that one person gets big, they already have friends who are also streamers, they spread their audience to those people, that gets those new audience, they spread them back, and then it's like a self-growing circle. That happened recently with like Wesker's release and a few others that I can list, and if one of them gets that boost and gets invited to one of those areas, it boosts all the other ones, and you just have to form or get into one of those groups. And it's not unfair. I want to make that clear. It's how life is. People have friends. It's how relations work. If you like publish hard, eventually the right person will see your video, or you'll eventually get one that pops off, or you'll eventually meet someone in game, and you'll be able to, you know, have a career in this, or at least be able to have a larger impact. But currently, it just doesn't feel that way for a lot of smaller creators, and I'm in that small creator club. I'm not gonna lie about that. Prior versions of the Twitch shirt thing felt really unfair to people like me. The first version was an application. I didn't make content back then, so I never got to make a submission, so I don't know if that one was fair. So I will remain neutral on that one. And the second version was a slot spin. Just spinning a slot to see if you could get a dev to randomly watch your stream one Saturday. And then they said that they don't even have a dev doing that every single month like they said they would, so that changed. And then the final version, before they announced these new guidelines about a year ago, is that they got a bunch of fog whispers to give out codes. And the fog whispers, one of them said recently that last year, they actually had to get everyone vetted by behavior themselves. And that's fine. Maybe there was some fog whisperer that knew about me that thought about handing me one. This new version just doesn't seem much better, and a lot of people who got those shirts either through the fog whisperer thing or got shirted previously no longer meet these requirements to suddenly keep getting shirted. And I know it's a large step up to go from just a basic cosmetic to being able to get flown out for events and official campaigns, but that's why it should be a tier-based system. It shouldn't be an all or nothing type deal. It should just be you can get shirts and then you can work your way up slowly. Maybe even get a shirt, and then if the devs actually want you, or if you put a lot of effort and you get more recognition, the devs could reach out with you on their list and be like, hey, we saw that you play a lot of Blight on your stream and we want to run a Blight campaign for his new cosmetic. Would you mind playing with some devs and customs or recording this voiceover for us to show off the new cosmetic and this promotional idea? And you'd be like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then, you know, you get on their socials and stuff, and that's cool. It's just, there should be a ladder. It shouldn't be a wall that you have to do in one leap. It should be a ladder and you climb it up rung by rung. And right now, a lot of people feel like it's a wall. And for a lot of those people, that wall feels like the Great Wall of China. It's too large to climb. It's defended by military. You just can't get up there. And that's it. I don't really have much else to add on to this. You can see other people's opinions on Twitter. Some people are defending it. I think they're rightfully defending it because of all the cool stuff you're getting. I think a lot of people are pointing out actual issues like I did in this one. I'll make another video about the actual P2P. Probably go up on Thursday instead of Wednesday like this one is. But this is something that only impacts content creators. And I understand if not everyone cares, being like, oh, you're just whiny. But if you haven't done content creation, you just don't know how much effort it takes to get to that point. And maybe you have tried and then you gave up because you weren't seeing results. The funniest part about content creation is that for Twitch, if you average 9 viewers, you are in the top 15% of the entire website. I know a lot of people see like people like Kai Cenat and Iron Mouse with like, you know, at minimum 15k viewers for Iron Mouse or like 100k for Kai Cenat. That's obviously top weighted. It's a very top weighted platform. Most people average 0 to 1. And I'd like if that wall became just a little bit lower. I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate too. I mean, hopefully the devs see this. I don't know if they will. I tried not being as venomous in it, not calling them like stupid or anything. Actually, hold on, one more critique actually. Listening to my chair ring back. Why did this take 6 months, like a whole year to, I know they had layoffs and I know that delayed by about 3 or 4 months. Why did they not reveal the numbers that you would need to submit something 6 months ago? And be like, hey, we're not ready to reveal anything that like the program does just yet. We're going to do that at a later point in time, but we're letting you know that we think these are reasonable numbers to have to get a bunch of cool stuff. And then people could have been like, 10,000? 10,000's way too much for a cosmetic. And then they could have been like, oh, wait, we're doing a lot more stuff. The cosmetic is for a separate thing. Save some face, you know, make a separate ladder, like a separate tier for just the t-shirts. That would have made so much more sense. I don't know why they didn't do that. But I digressed. I really need to end this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I'll see you guys all in the next P2B thing. In general, though, everything else from the P2B is good. If you're interested in that opinion, that video will most likely go up tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.